trampoline. It's a fuckaline. Now, ladies, and whatever, the husbands. All right, one of the most important things, and take it from a guy that's done this, 30 or 40 times over his career, this trampoline assembly. Open the boxes and lay everything out. And I'm just going to show you, like, I have stuff laid out, and I got all the pipes laid out in one spot, all foam tubes, the nets, and the mat, okay? Here's the springs, okay? And here's the tool they give you for the springs, the instruction manual. Gloves are really important because this stuff all has like a light coating of machine oil on it left over from the factory, and it's really, I don't know, it just feels weird when it gets on your hands. So when I'm working with the tubes and stuff, I like to have gloves. I'll use the latex, like hospital gloves, like protection, germ protection gloves, and I'll use like a light set of gloves like this, and I'll alternate. That box contains the steps that go up into the net. And then I'll take one of the box tops and I'll turn it over, and I'll lay out all the stuff that came in the bags, okay? And the hardware. Now, one thing that, and I have it all nice and neat, the one thing that's going to come in really handy is like a power driver like this with a socket that fits the whatever hardware is in your particular trampoline. This is 7/16. Now if you had a ratchet set, that would be good too, but what I'm trying to say is they give you these tools to put this thing together with. If you ever try to do even like one screw in a smoke detector with this screwdriver, you're gonna rip the skin off your hands. You're gonna have calluses and blisters and cramps and everything. The handle's too small to grab. The tip is like machined really crappily, and it doesn't even fit in any screws good. It's like total garbage. And then this is a wrench. I mean, to turn bolts and stuff, just the edge of that thing is just going to dig into your hand. You're going to bust. This is a knuckle buster. I would call this a knuckle buster, and this is a skin remover. So, I mean, don't even think about it. Use your own tools. So something like this is going to come in real handy, or else ratchets with the socket and a ratchet, or open-end wrench set. And this, I'll have the socket on here for the bolts, which is like for these big bolts. And I also going to use the screwdriver tip for some of these screws that fits right in there. Then I save these boxes for, because when I'm done, I'm going to throw everything, and I'm going to tie all of these boxes up, and this is going to be the trash. Nice and neat and easy. Comes with an instruction manual. We're going to start with that. And I'm not going to bring you through each step, but I'll show you the logical progression. But basically, you're going to follow the instructions. It's all repetition. Just stick this and that too. Stick A into B like 9 times, and then stick B into C like 9 times. And basically, it's going to get laid out on the ground in a big circle as you're going along, right? And then basically, you're going to start like, do this, until you come around. And then every step is walking around this thing, doing whatever step it is, but it's all repetition. All walking in circles and repetition. And don't be intimidated by it. I'm not saying it's difficult. I'm just telling you what it is. I told you guys it's a lot of repetition. So they wanted us, they call these the W legs, and we had to put them together. One end has like 3 holes, and then the other side has 2 holes, so you got to figure that out and put them together. Like this is all the 3-hole sides. These are all 3-hole sides. Then they want you to put a bolt and a washer, okay, bolt and a washer, and on the other side they want you to put the nut and a washer, but not make it tight yet. Then you lay out your circle here, and these just basically hook together. I got most of them together. They just slip into each other like something like this. Okay, here we go. That's the, okay. So it's just a lot of repetition, this trampoline business here. I just want to point out, you see I'm using this box here for the hardware. You see, we're working on grass, and should you drop like one of these little, the other nuts or those little washers, if you drop something in the grass, you're never going to find it. And these little bolts here, they're like little 8mm bolts or something. You drop that guy, you're never going to find it. So, I don't know if that's a good shot. All right, so this guy, this little bolt here, you drop that, it's going to be trouble. It's very small. All right, so try to keep stuff over the cardboard. All right, so at this point, they had us go around and put in all the W legs. And I did like 2 here, and then I went to the other side and put 1, or else like the one side picks up and they fall out. Yeah, if you had 2 people and one person could hold one side down, but that's just the easy way. So I did like 2 and then 1 over there, and then I filled in the gaps. Then they had us go around and put in these little nuts and bolts, but not make anything tight, but just put in these little nuts and bolts, and they go on the left of the W leg, and on the right of the W leg go the big nuts and bolts, and again, just put them in, but don't make them tight. And if you have to, you could just twist these things back and forth to make the holes line up. And then they had us put the trampoline mat out with the labels facing up, and then we're going to go around and we're going to put the springs on. You see there's plenty of springs, 2 boxes of springs. This is the tool. It's helpful for putting the springs on. And I found if you just start in one spot and work your way around until it gets really tough to put the springs in, then jump ahead like 10 feet and put 1 spring, and then fill in the next, because that one you jumped ahead on might not line up because there's a lot of holes and a lot of what's called D-rings. These are the D-rings on the mat, and then there's a lot of holes for the springs to go in. So you do a whole bunch till it gets really hard, then jump ahead a little, put 1 just to hold it, fill in the gap, and line it up, and then jump ahead again, and then fill in the gap, line it up. And like I said, it's a lot of repetition. Alrighty, so I did all of these by hand without the tool. And I got about over here, and it got really tough to do by hand. So I jumped ahead like I told you, okay? And now I'll come and I'll fill these in. And this might not necessarily line up. I didn't count. It's not important. And then I'll line up as I go along. And that's what I was talking about, jumping ahead. I mean, so far, everything fits and stuff, except there was like 2 springs that I'm not really impressed with. They were a little crooked as far as which end. I mean, they're supposed to line up like this straight. Like that's pointing, that top end's pointing towards us, and the bottom end's pointing at us, and a couple of springs were like way off, almost halfway around, but only a couple, and it doesn't seem, here, like look, this is a screwed up spring, and you can see how it's sticking, the D-ring is sticking up twisted because the spring is stupid. And there was another stupid spring like that too somewhere. There's a closed end to the spring, and there's an open end. The closed end goes on the mat, the open end goes on the frame. So that's the hook to help with the springs, which we have all the springs on. And if any, some are a little hard, like for some reason they don't want to go down into the slot. And it's not just this trampoline, it's like a lot of trampolines I've done. So I come after and just, you see that one sticking up? Just knock it in, look at that one. Just knock it in. There's enough. Okay, so now like the springs are basically holding this whole thing together, and we're ready to proceed to the next step. They have us putting in these are the safety net, the bottom safety net poles. And what we did was take out, getting out of the sun, we took out the bolt that we put in before, and we took it out of here and put it in here with the second bolt, the 2 spacers, and then a nut and a washer on the other side. Nothing's tightened up yet. None of the bolts on the whole thing are tightened up yet. That gets done later, because we're still like twisting things to line up holes and stuff like that. It's good that it's not tightened up. And then we put in these safety caps so the kids don't scrape their legs on the bottom. And I'm using a mallet, not a hammer. There's a difference. So none of these bolts, nothing's tightened up yet. Again with the repetition. So we went around and we put these foam sleeves on all the lower net supports. Then we put the foam sleeves on all the upper net supports, and just to hold them in place, we put the caps with the little bolts. But right now we're going to thread this net over here. I don't know, it's somewhere. That net. We're going to put that net onto these poles, and then we're going to put the top poles onto the bottom poles. And then we're going to tie the net, bottom of the net, and we're going to tie this pad all together. And then we're going to put the stairs together, and we're almost done. Okay, now you see, again with the repetition, we've done the top loops into the top poles. And now we just kind of figure out which one goes to which, and you got to stick these top poles into the bottom poles all the way and work our way around. Well, there it is. Okay, so this is going to be the opening where the kids get in and out of. I don't know if you can see that. It's like a semicircle thing, and now we have to go and sew these loops with this long string they gave us. We got to sew it in and out of these springs, and then the enclosure part's done. This is like the silliest thing. All right, so you see this rope? It's like a long rope, right? A long black nylon rope, and we tied off one D-ring. And the rope's got to come up through the D-ring, through the loop in the netting, back down, then through the loop in the padding, then the next D-ring, up through that loop, back down, then a loop in the padding, then up, back down, loop in the padding, up, back down, loop in the padding. We have to do that all the way around. Every spring has an up and down and through the padding, all the way around. Oh my God, I never had to deal with this before. It might be a good way to do it. It looks like it's going to be real secure when I'm done. I mean, how could it not be? I'm like basically sewing every one of these loops through a D-ring and every one of these loops through a D-ring. But it looks like a lot of work. And it's getting late. I might come back tomorrow and finish this up. So, that's why they pay me the big money.